what goes in must come out. And the more animals on a farm, the more manure that needs somewhere to go. Every animal farm operation needs a way to manage the manure their animals produce. There is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to manure management. But some storage and treatment methods are more popular than others. Which type of manure management a farm chooses will depend on the animal type, the animal housing, and on the farm-specific conditions which guide the system design, such as expected rainfall in the area or availability of cropland close by. Broadly speaking, there are 3 types of manure, coming from 3 types of animals stored in 3 primary systems. In the U.S., we mostly raise cattle, swine, and poultry. The manure from all of these animals is similar when it exists in the animal's body, but what happens to the manure after that determines if that manure is considered a solid, slurry, or liquid. These are the 3 forms of manure in storage or treatment systems. The form of manure determines how it is stored. The big 3 options are pits, lagoons, and piles. But no matter how the manure is stored, it is all eventually applied to crop fields. Poultry manure is the most versatile and coveted of animal manures because it has a high concentration of nutrients, making it an effective fertilizer. Poultry farms almost always store manure in a solid form. But wait, we all know the infamous sight of bird droppings on our windshield, and that stuff didn't come out in pellets. So why wouldn't poultry manure be stored as a liquid? Well, it all comes down to the animal's housing. Take broiler chickens. Those are chickens raised for their meat. They spend their lives in football-sized enclosures carpeted with bedding. The bedding needs to be a dry, carbon-rich material which collects the chicken's waste. When the chicken's living environment is cleaned, the soiled bedding gets scraped out and collected with the excrement. All that carbon material mixed in with the chicken excrement produces a solid manure that will be stored in designated piling areas until it can be trucked away and spread on a crop field. Swine barns, on the other hand, rarely use bedding. Instead of walking around on a floor covered with straw, pigs often live in barns with a slotted floor. The openings in the floor allow the manure to fall directly into a holding pit without the addition of carbon materials like straw or wood chips. Swine manure keeps its milk-shaped-like texture, commonly known as slurry. It stays liquid enough in the pit below the barn that it can still be pumped out and periodically applied to nearby farms. Cattle manure varies the most in forms and storage method. Beef cattle raised in outdoor feedlots produce solid manure. Manure dries outdoors and mixes with the dirt floor of the pens. When the cattle manure is scraped off the feedlot, the result is a solid manure that is stored in piles for field application. On the other hand, indoor cattle operations, such as dairy farms, produce both solid and slurry manure, depending on, you guessed it, how much bedding ends up intermixed with the manure. Dairy cattle require bedding materials to lay on, and this bedding will inevitably intermix with the cattle's manure. Dairy parlors are also washed frequently, which adds extra water to the manure. Farmers often try to recover the lost bedding by using different methods for separating solid bedding from liquid manure and wash water. The result is that dairy manure is usually the most liquid type of manure. Dairy manure is also often stored in lagoons, which provide additional liquid manure treatment, reducing the potential pollutants in the manure. Animal manure is a valuable resource in all 3 of its forms: solid, slurry, and liquid, and all 3 are ultimately applied to cropland for the benefit of soil health and increased crop yield.